The Netherlands. Part 2.
The Netherlands, Part 2. Now we will look at some points of interest in Amsterdam.
A canal in Amsterdam.
The Haarlem Canal is one of the most famous and scenic canals in Amsterdam.
This shows the location of the Haarlem Canal.
Occasionally, the canals in Amsterdam freeze. Here are skaters on a frozen canal.
Here is the Royal Palace on Dam Square. The palace was built as a city hall during the Dutch Golden Age in the 17th century. The building became the Royal Palace of King Louis Napoleon and later of the Dutch Royal House.
The Dam Square is in the historical center of Amsterdam, 750 meters south of the Central Station.
This is Dam Square.
The National Monument is a World War II monument on Dam Square erected in 1956. A national remembrance of the dead, or dodenherdenking ceremony, is held at the monument every year on May 4th to commemorate the casualties of World War II and subsequent armed conflicts.
Right across from Dam Square is the De Bijenkorf department store. De Bijenkorf means the beehive.
There often are street performers on Dam Square.
These are street performers on Dam Square.
Central Station is a main focal point of the city.
This shows the location of Dam Square and the Royal Palace with respect to the Central Station.
This is the Central Station.
This is a canal boat on the river passing in front of the Central Station.
The Munttoren or Mint Tower stands on the busy Muntplein Square, where the Amstel River and the Single Canal meet. The name of the tower refers to the fact that it was used to mint coins in the 17th century.
The major art museum of Amsterdam is the Rijksmuseum. The Rijksmuseum is a national museum dedicated to arts, crafts, and history, and has a large collection of paintings from the Dutch Golden Age.
Another important museum close by the Rijksmuseum is the Van Gogh Museum. The Van Gogh Museum is dedicated to the works of Vincent van Gogh and his contemporaries. The museum has the largest collection of Van Gogh's paintings and drawings in the world.
Here is the Rijksmuseum and the Van Gogh Museum close by.
The Van Gogh Museum is the most visited museum in the Netherlands and the 23rd most visited art museum worldwide.
The Anne Frank House is a museum dedicated to Jewish wartime diarist Anne Frank, who hid from Nazi persecution with her family and 4 other people in hidden rooms at the rear of the building.
This shows the location of the Anne Frank House,
as well as the preservation of the hiding place, known in Dutch as the Achterhuis, and an exhibition on the life and times of Anne Frank. The museum acts as an exhibition space to highlight all forms of persecution and discrimination.
The Anne Frank House Museum opened in 1960 with the aid of public subscription, 3 years after a foundation was established to protect the property from developers who wanted to demolish the block. The Anne Frank House Museum can be very busy at most times of the year, so it is advisable to book tickets online well ahead of time.
This is the Westerkerk on the Prinsengracht near the Anne Frank House.
A typical street in Amsterdam.
Amsterdam is famous for its red light district, so it's slow going on this street.
The Moses and Aaron Church is a Roman Catholic church situated in the Old Jewish Quarter of Amsterdam.
The church no longer holds regular services. Instead, It is now used as an education center and a venue for exhibitions and concerts. The Moses and Aaron Church was originally constructed as a hidden church in the 1641. It was rebuilt as a proper church, with a neoclassical design. In 1795, when freedom of faith was officially restored.
The original statues of Moses and Aaron are preserved in the church to this day.
This shows the location of the Moses and Aaron Church.
The Portuguese Synagogue is a 17th-century Sephardic synagogue in Amsterdam. The Amsterdam Sephardic community was one of the largest and richest in Europe during the Dutch Golden Age, and their very large synagogue reflected this. The Jews were expelled en masse from Spain in 1492 by the Alhambra Decree.
Some of those who wished to enjoy a freedom of religion found refuge in Amsterdam. During a substantial migration that took place in the 17th century, these Jewish refugees from Spain called themselves Portuguese Jews to avoid being identified with Spain, which was then at war with the Dutch Republic at the time.
This shows the location of the Portuguese synagogue and the Jewish Historical Museum.
The Joods Museum, Jewish Historical Museum, is dedicated to Jewish history, culture and religion, in the Netherlands and worldwide. It is the only museum in the Netherlands dedicated to Jewish history.
The Hotel de Europe, a 19th-century five-star hotel, became an official monument, or Rijksmonument, in 2001.
The Amsterdam History Museum is well worth a visit.
This shows the location of the Amsterdam History Museum.
The Amsterdam History Museum opened in 1926 in the Waag, a 15th-century building on New Markt Square. It has been located since 1975 in a building that was originally constructed in 1580 as Amsterdam's orphanage.
This is the Amsterdam History Museum.
The Rembrandt House Museum, in Dutch, Museum het Rembrandthuis, is the house in Joudenbriestraat where Rembrandt lived and painted for nearly 20 years. It is now a museum.
Rembrandt purchased the house in 1639 and lived there until he went bankrupt in 1656, when all his belongings were auctioned. The detailed inventory and catalogue for the auction, and also some drawings by Rembrandt, has allowed the museum to reconstruct the appearance of the rooms with similar period items.
The Netherlands has one of the world's greatest orchestras, the Amsterdam Concertgebouw Orchestra.
The Amsterdam Concertgebouw opened in 1888.
The Waag, or Way House, is a 15th-century building on New Markt Square. It was originally a city gate and part of the walls of Amsterdam. The building has also served as a guild hall, museum, fire station and anatomical theater, among others.
The Waag is depicted in Rembrandt's 1632 painting The Anatomy Lesson of Dr. Nicolaas Tulp. The Surgeons Guild commissioned this painting for their guild hall in the Waag.
The Waag is the oldest remaining non-religious building in Amsterdam.
The Scheepvaart Museum is the Amsterdam Maritime Museum housed in a 350-year-old warehouse, formerly an arsenal for the Admiralty of Amsterdam. This is one of the best maritime museums in the world, offering a comprehensive look at the Netherlands' centuries-long tie to the sea.
Inside the Netherlands Maritime Museum, you'll find fascinating artifacts and information on 4 centuries of Dutch naval history. The interior of the museum is immense with maps, paintings, navigational instruments, weaponry, and ship replicas. There's also an extensive exhibit on the Dutch East India Company, showing the important role it played in early international trade.
A must-do excursion in Amsterdam is a canal cruise. Most canal cruises take around an hour through Amsterdam, and include a narrated commentary.
Another excellent way to tour Amsterdam, especially for first-time visitors, is by a hop-on hop-off bus. One example is the city sightseeing hop-on hop-off bus tours.
Combination 24 hours and 48-hour bus and boat tours are offered.
This map shows both the bus route, in red, and the canal boat route, in green.
Both the bus and the canal boats can be boarded at a number of stops along the route.
Here are the canal boat stops.
This is the area near the central station and the cruise ship port.
A convenient boarding place for both the bus and boat tours is stop 1 near the central station and St. Nicholas Church.
Recommended video, top things to do in Amsterdam, 2 minutes. 26 seconds.
Recommended video, Amsterdam Vacation Travel Guide Expedia, 5 minutes. 19 seconds.
Recommended video, 10 best places to see in Amsterdam, a city's travel guide. 5 minutes. 18 seconds.
And now we will look at the second largest city in the Netherlands. Rotterdam.
Rotterdam is a major European port and second largest city of the Netherlands, in the province of Zuid-Holland, or South Holland.
Rotterdam is about 19 miles, 30 kilometers, from the North Sea, to which it is linked by a canal called the New Waterway or Nieuwe Maas River. The city lies along both banks of the New Maas River, which is a northern distributary of the Rhine River.
Here is Rotterdam on the Nieuwe Maas River, a northern distributary of the Rhine River.
In 1283, a small tract of reclaimed land was created by putting a dam across the mouth of the Rhine River, where it flows into the Nieuwe Maas River. In 1328, Rotterdam received its charter and develops as a fishing village.
In 1340, a canal is dug to the North Sea. In the 1600s, the discovery of the sea route to the Indies gives an enormous impetus to Dutch commerce and shipping. Rotterdam became the major port of Holland, expanded its harbors and becomes the second merchant city of the country after Amsterdam.
The Napoleonic Wars in Europe in the period 1795 to 1815 halted most trade. Between 1866 and 1872, the new waterway was dug from Rotterdam to the North Sea to accommodate larger ocean-going steamships.
In 1877, Rotterdam became connected with the southern Netherlands by a railroad crossing the Meuse River. From 1892 to 1898, harbor facilities on the south bank were greatly expanded. And in the period of 1906 to 1930, Rotterdam's Vaal Harbor was built and became the largest dredged harbor in the world.
After the destruction of World War II, a totally new inner city was laid out, with a spacious and functional architecture oriented toward the river, and a series of experiments at complete city planning that have attracted both professional and tourist admiration.
The Linneben Shopping Center became the prototype for similar centers in Europe and America that allowed pedestrian traffic.
This is the Linneben Shopping Center.
This is another view of the Linneben Shopping Center.
The population of Rotterdam is 600,000 with a metropolitan area population of 1.1 million.
The Erasmus Bridge, or in Dutch, Erasmusbrug, is a bridge in the center of Rotterdam. It is the second largest in the Netherlands, and named after the Renaissance scholar Desiderius Erasmus.
This shows the location of the Erasmusbrug, or Erasmus Bridge.
The Euromast is an observation tower in Rotterdam, constructed between 1958 and 1960.
This shows the location of the Euromast in Rotterdam.
This is the observation platform of the Euromast.
The Hotel New York was operated by the Holland-America Line. Many immigrants waiting for passage to America stayed in this hotel.
This shows the location of the Hotel New York of the Holland-America Line.
This is the Hotel New York of the Holland-America Line.
Just west of the Euromast lies an old harbor called Delfshaven that used to be the old harbor of the city of Delft, and is now part of Rotterdam.
Delfshaven is a wonderful old part of the city of Rotterdam.
It is also famous because it was from Delfshaven that the Pilgrim Fathers sailed to America on the Mayflower.
Delfshaven was in those days still the sea harbor of the mighty city of Delft. The Pilgrims, originally from England, had found refuge in Delft for a long time, but in the end they wanted to move on.
Delfshaven is still a little place with a handful of streets. There are less than 100 houses, most from the 17th century.
One of the most famous persons from Rotterdam is Desiderius Erasmus, often called simply Erasmus of Rotterdam. He lived from 1466 to 1536.
The principal university in Rotterdam is Erasmus University.
Rotterdam's economy is still almost completely based on shipping.
The port lies at the heart of the densely populated and industrialized triangle of London, Paris, and the German Ruhr district.
And at the mouths of two important rivers, the Rhine and the Meuse. Yet it is also open to the North Sea, the world's most heavily navigated sea.
In terms of total cargo handled, Rotterdam is by far the busiest port in Europe, and by a close margin the second busiest in the world. The next European port way down in the rankings is Antwerp with 132 million metric tons, and then Hamburg at 98 million tons and Marseille at 92 million tons.
This shows the cargo volume of the major world ports.
In terms of containers handled, Rotterdam is still the busiest port in Europe, although it now just ranks 7th in the world.
The next European port down in the rankings is Hamburg in 9th place, and Antwerp in 10th place. Although Los Angeles is in 8th place, when combined with Long Beach adjacent to it, the port of Los Angeles Long Beach will be in 3rd place with 10,600 units.
Here we have a chart of container traffic for various ports.
A few miles downstream from Rotterdam, where the new Maas enters the North Sea, is the newer harbor of Europort, with the largest dredged harbor in the world.
A number of large harbor areas have been dredged out of this waterway, such as the Maashaven, Rheinhaven, and Koningshaven.
This is the Rotterdam Harbor Grain Terminal.
This is the Rotterdam Harbor.
Many large petrochemical complexes line the new waterweg, such as Shell, Texaco Esso, Kuwait Petroleum, and Arco.
This is a view of the vast extent of the Europort.
An exciting thing to do in Rotterdam is to take a tour of the harbor by boat. A harbor tour by Spido is a 75-minute narrated tour.
A combination ticket with a city sightseeing hop-on hop-off bus tour is also available.
The city sightseeing hop-on hop-off bus tour of Rotterdam has 7 tour stops, and takes 60 minutes for the complete loop.
To protect Rotterdam and the surrounding areas of South Holland from storm surges, a massive storm surge barrier has been installed in the new waterweg near the Europort.
The curved arms of the new waterway storm surge barrier in the Netherlands protect Rotterdam and other cities from flooding during large storms on the North Sea.
Normally the large, curved arms are retracted to allow ships from the North Sea to travel to ports along the new waterway.
When a dangerous storm is anticipated, the arms are swung out to block off the waterway and prevent large waves from pushing floodwaters inland.
This is a model that shows the operation of the surge barrier.
New waterway storm surge barrier.
The most important demand for the design was that the barrier should not hinder the shipping. The barrier should be closed only under exceptional circumstances. Once or twice per 10 years was the maximum frequency.
The storm surge barrier at Rotterdam is the largest hydraulic project in the Netherlands. It is nearly as long as the Eiffel Tower in Paris and weighs 4 times as much. There is a visitor center that has exhibits showing the operation of the surge barrier.
Recommended video, Rotterdam Harbor, top places to visit. 5 minutes.
Scenes of the Netherlands.
A good place to see the old windmills of the Netherlands is Kinderdijk.
Kinderdijk is in a polder in South Holland, about 15 kilometers, or 9 miles east of Rotterdam.
To drain the polder, a system of 19 windmills was built around 1740. This group of windmills is the largest concentration of old windmills in the Netherlands.
Kinderdijk is about 2 hours by train from Amsterdam and 1.5 hours by road.
The windmills of Kinderdijk are one of the best-known Dutch tourist sites, and have been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1997.
Are the windmills really disappearing from the Netherlands?
No. Not at all. The Netherlands now has many modern windmills for the generation of electricity.
Here are some modern windmills at Hartelbrug.
These are modern windmills in the Netherlands.
Urk is an old fishing village. Once an island of the former Zuiderzee, and now part of the Noordoost, or Northeast Polder.
The Netherlands Open Air Museum is an open-air museum and park, located near Arnhem. It features antique houses, farms, and factories from different parts of the Netherlands.
This is a restored farmhouse interior at the Open Air Museum, or Openlucht Museum, at Arnhem.
Keukenhof, Dutch for kitchen garden, is also known as the Garden of Europe. It is one of the world's largest flower gardens. It is situated in Lisse. Approximately 7 million flower bulbs are planted annually in the park.
Keukenhof is located in South Holland in the small town of Lisse, south of Haarlem and southwest of Amsterdam. It is 40 kilometers by road from Amsterdam. It is accessible by bus from the train stations of Haarlem, Leiden and Schiphol. It is located in an area called the Dunenbulb region, or Dunenballenstreek.
Keukenhof is open annually from mid-March to mid-May. Tulip season runs from the end of March until mid-May, but the flowers are usually at their best halfway through April.
Recommended video, Keukenhof Gardens and Tulip Fields, 2 minutes, 13 seconds.
Zanse Schans is an open-air museum near Zaandam in the province of North Holland.
Zaanse Schans is located only 20 kilometers north of Amsterdam. By train from Amsterdam Central stations, it is a 17-minute train ride, and then a 15-minute walk.
A small city from this area was rebuilt, giving a taste of the life of people in earlier times. It is only 8 miles, or a 20-minute train ride from Amsterdam.
This is a drawbridge at the entrance to Zaanse Schans.
This is a view of a street in Zaanse Schans.
The area was named Zaanse Schans after an entrenchment which was erected in 1574 to hold back Spanish troops at the beginning of the 80 Years' War between the Netherlands and Spain.
The museum offers a lot of authentic dark green painted houses, mills and other workshops. The area around the town is part of the museum.
Zaanse Schans reflects its 17th and 18th century roots with painted wooden houses, windmills and warehouses along the Rhine River.
Recommended video, Zanse Schans windmills. Marken en Volendam, 2 minutes.
Haarlem, population 160,000, is the capital of the province of North Holland and is situated at the northern edge of the Randstad, one of the most populated metropolitan areas in Europe.
Here is Haarlem in the province of North Holland. It is a 15-minute train ride from Amsterdam. and many residents commute to the country's capital for work.
This is the Haarlem Cathedral.
This is the Frans Hals Museum in Haarlem.
This is the scene of Haarlem.
The Corrie ten Boom Museum is a museum dedicated to the hiding place, the subject of a book by Corrie ten Boom.
The ten Boom family ran a watch shop on the corner of an alleyway and the main shopping street of Haarlem. During the Nazi occupation of Haarlem starting in 1942, they provided safe harbor for Jews and other underground refugees in a hiding place they built upstairs.
This is a view of Haarlem.
Now, we will visit Alkmaar.
Alkmaar is a city of 100,000 population in the province of North Holland. It is only 30 to 50 minutes by train from Amsterdam, and 45 minutes by road.
Alkmaar is well known for its traditional cheese market. One of the very few remaining weighhouses still in use is the one in Alkmaar, where the cheese market still includes the weighing of the cheeses, as a demonstration for tourists.
This is the Vaghuis and Cheese Market in Alkmaar.
The Vaghuis and Cheese Market is not very far from the train station in Alkmaar.
This is the cheese market in Alkmaar.
This is a canal in Alkmaar.
These are wooden shoes for sale in Alkmaar.
A street scene in Alkmaar.
This is a picture of an interesting mechanical orchestra in Alkmaar.
Recommended video, The Cheese Market at Alkmaar. Harland Holiday. 5 minutes.
Madurodam is a miniature city in The Hague.
Madurodam is models of towns and buildings from all over the Netherlands on a scale of 1 to 25.
Madurodam is a park which basically contains Holland in miniature. Madurodam is in South Holland, very close to The Hague.
There are little buildings, like the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, people and cheeses, even working trains and boats. The models are extremely good copies of the original buildings.
This tourist attraction was named after George Maduro from Curaçao. He was a student and fighter in the Dutch resistance during World War II and died at the Dachau concentration camp in 1945. His parents donated the money to start this project.
This is the depiction of the story of Hans Brinker and Madurodam.
A tanker on the water in Madurodam.
A farm in Madurodam.
This is a replica of St. John's Basilica of Sahertogenbosch in Madurodam.
This is a replica of Cathedral Tower of Utrecht in Madurodam.
This is a replica of the Cantonal Court of Utrecht in Madurodam.
This is a representation of the Grote Kerk of Middelburg in Madurodam.
This is a replica of the Holy Ghost almhouses in The Hague.
This is a replica in Madurodam of the Dutch Parliament buildings, Het Binnenhof of The Hague.
This is a replica in Madurodam of the Dutch Parliament buildings, Het Binnenhof of The Hague.
This is a replica in Madurodam of the Harengracht Canal of Amsterdam.
This is a representation in Madurodam of the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam.
Here is a replica in Madurodam of the Canal Quarter, Muntplein and Munttoren of Amsterdam.
Here is a replica in Madurodam of the Canal Quarter, Muntplein and Munttoren of Amsterdam.
Here is a reproduction in Madurodam of the Portuguese Synagogue of Amsterdam.
Here is a copy in Madurodam of the Anne Frank House.
Recommended video, Madurodam. Mini Holland, 4 minutes.
Table of contents.